In this video, we're going to go over alpha and beta roots of quadratic functions. So what I want you to know is, I want you to know that the summation of alpha and beta is the negative b over a. Then I also want you to know that the product of alpha and beta is going to be c over a. So basically the form of the quadratic function is ax squared plus bx plus c. So from this form, we're able to find the summation as well as the product. So in this question, what we've been given as a quadratic function is actually we have x squared minus 4x plus 2 being equal to 0. So now the question is, find equations whose roots are that. So basically, it's very important that we find the summation and the product of the alpha and the beta roots. So I'll start with a summation. So alpha plus beta is negative b over a. So in this case, our b is 4. So negative of negative 4 divided by our a. Our a in this case is 1. So our alpha plus beta is 4. Then alpha multiplied by beta is c over a. Our c is 2. Our a is 1. So we have a 2 there. Okay, so we found the sum as well as the product of alpha and beta. So how do you get to find the new equations? So even the new equations, what you're going to do is you need to multiply them as well as add them. Then you'll be able to find the answer. So I'll start with by addition of the new roots there for the first part. So the addition, we have alpha that plus beta plus 3. So basically that is going to give us what? Alpha plus beta plus 6. So what we have is alpha plus beta there. So we can plug in because we know what alpha and beta is. It's a 4. So we have 4 plus 6 giving us a 10. So we've dealt with a summation. We can now deal with a product. So alpha plus 3 multiplied by beta plus 3. Basically what we are going to have is alpha, beta, then alpha by that is going to be 3 alpha, then also 3 beta there. Okay, then plus, not forgetting, plus 9. Okay, so we need to plug in now. Before we get to plug in, we need to look at what we have. Is it possible to find alpha beta? Yes, alpha beta is 2. How about 3 alpha? We don't have. So in such a case, let's try to factorize the 3 so that we put it in the form of a summation. So we have alpha beta plus 3 alpha plus beta plus 9. So at least we know what alpha plus beta is, so we can substitute there. So our alpha multiplied by beta is 2. The summation is 4 plus 9. So 2 by 4 is 8 plus 9, that is 17 plus 2. We have 19. So what that tells us to say is now we found the values of this product as well as the sum. So remember we said that for the product of the roots, which is for alpha beta in this form, it's c over a. So we're saying c over a in this case, which is the product, is 19. Then for the other part, alpha plus beta, which is equal to the summation of roots, which is that we said it's negative b over a. So in this case, the summation of the roots that we have is what? Basically we have a 10 there. So we can find the value of a, b, and c in this case. So let's have some space so that we're able to find the equation. Okay, so from there, we need to make sure that we have a common denominator. So in this case, our a is actually equivalent to a 1. So our c is equal to 19, as we can see from there. Then our b is negative b. Since negative b is equal to 10, therefore b is going to be 10. Negative 10, sorry. So remember our quadratic function is supposed to be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So if you plug in there, we have x squared minus 10x plus 1. So, and that is the new equation for the first part, given that alpha plus 3 and beta plus 3 are the roots of a new equation. So that's a new equation. Let's try to now work on the second part. So you can pause the video and try it out. So what we have as the roots of a new equation for the second part is we have alpha plus 3 beta. Then we also have beta plus 3 alpha. You can try it out. So basically, like we said, we need to first of all find the sum as well as the products of the roots that you have. So in this case, we are going to add. So we have alpha plus 3 beta being added to beta plus 3 alpha. So the like terms that we have alpha adding to alpha. So we have 4 alpha, then we also have 4 beta there, middle part. Okay, so we've already found the sum, but like we said, we need to make sure that what we have is in the form of either the product or the summation. So let's express that in that form. So it's going to be 4 alpha plus beta after factorizing a 4. So that if you put in the value of the alpha plus beta, we'll be able to find the actual value. Then for the product, we are multiplying them. So we have that root being multiplied by the other parts. So alpha by beta, we have alpha beta. Then alpha by, so what we are doing is that by this is alpha beta, then that by this is going to be 3 alpha squared, then that with this is going to be 3 beta squared, then the last part 3 beta by that is going to be 9 alpha beta. Okay, so how do we get to simplify this? So alpha beta is already in the form that we want, it's in that form. Then this part we have 3 alpha squared. So basically we even have like terms there. Let's show it. So alpha beta plus 9 alpha beta, that is going to be 10 alpha beta. Okay, so now the middle part is 3 alpha squared plus 3 beta squared. So let's try to factorize the 3. So we have alpha squared plus beta squared in brackets, but that is not in the form that we want. Okay, so we need to realize that the simplest way of expressing that in the form of either summation or product is by realizing the fact that alpha plus beta in brackets, which is in that form already, is actually equivalent to what if you expand it. Expand that, it's going to be alpha by alpha, it's going to be alpha squared, then alpha by beta is going to be, so that is going to be repeated to alpha beta plus beta squared. So then what do we have in brackets? In brackets what we have is alpha squared and beta squared. So we want to make it to be the subject of that. So let's try to make it the subject. And let me create some space on top here. So making it the subject, we're going to see that the other side we're going to have alpha plus beta squared. So this term can go the other side. It will be minus 2 alpha beta, being equivalent to alpha squared plus what? Plus beta squared. So now that we know that actually our alpha squared plus beta squared is equivalent to that, we can then substitute that in that part there. Okay, I can create some space there. So now what we have in that form is we have 10 alpha beta plus, so what is in the brackets alpha squared plus beta squared is that, so it's equivalent to the other side, which is alpha plus beta squared, then we have it's minus 2 alpha beta, so that is in brackets. So that's what we have. So let's create some space and see what this is going to be equivalent to. So at this point we now have what we can plug in, what we can use to substitute now. So we now know that this is actually equivalent to that, so it's fine. So from the equation, initially we had determined that the product alpha by beta was actually equivalent to what? Was actually equivalent to C over A, which gave us 2 divided by our A, which was 2. Then alpha plus beta was negative of B, which gave us 4 over 1. So we have 2 and 4. So we'll start with a summation. We plug in. So 4 by alpha. Basically, we are looking at that part. 4 multiplied by the alpha and beta. So alpha and beta is what? Is a 4. So plug in. So 4 by 4 is a 16 there. Then this other part down, what do we have? 10 multiplied by alpha and beta. Our alpha and beta in this case is a 2. So we plug in a 2 there plus 3. Then in brackets, what do we have? We have summation of alpha and what? And beta, which is what? Which is a 2. And it's squared. So it's 2 squared minus the other part is we have 2 multiplied by alpha plus beta, or alpha by beta actually, which is so by the way, in the brackets we have alpha plus beta, which is a 4 and not a 2, so we have a 4 there. Then minus alpha plus beta, which is a 2. Okay, so from that, at that point, what do we have? So 10 by 2 is giving us a 20. Then in the brackets we have 4 squared, which is a 16, minus 4 we have a 12. 12 by 3 is 36. So 36 plus 20 is 56. Okay, so we found the product as well as the summation. So our product is this, then our summation is equivalent to 16. So say let that be equal to alpha plus beta. I can now create some space. Since we know what the product is, we also know what the summation is in this question. Okay, so what do we have? So for our summation, which is alpha plus beta is equal to 16, we said that for the summation, it's actually negative b over a. Then for the product, we said it's 56, which is c over a. So we can find the value of a and c in this case. So for value of c, our c is equal to 56, our b is equal to negative 16. So remember we said our a is supposed to be the same, so it's 1. So therefore equation is supposed to be in this form. So our a is 1, so we have x squared, our b is negative 16, x plus our c, which is 56. And that is the equation of the new root. In the second part of the question, we have the question which says the roots of equation 2x squared minus 4x plus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, so the equation that we have is 2x squared minus 4x plus 5 being equal to 0. That's our equation. So we said what's important is we need to find the product of the roots and also their summation. So what do we have as a product? So we said our product is going to be given by c divided by a. So in this case our c is 5, our a is 2. Then for the sake of alpha plus beta, we said it's a negative of b, which in this case is going to be a negative of negative, which is going to be positive, over our a, which is 2, and our value is 2. Okay, so we can note that our alpha beta is 5 over 2, and our alpha plus beta is what? Is 2 for that question that we have. Okay, so that is going to be very helpful to answer the question. Let's try to move now. So now the first part of the question, we are asked to find the value of alpha plus, okay, so alpha plus 1 in brackets being multiplied by beta plus 1. So that's our first question. Okay, so that's the question that I'm talking about. So now, if you get to expand this, we need to make sure that we put them in that form so that we are able to substitute. So if you expand that, what are you going to have? So you have alpha beta plus, so alpha times beta is alpha beta, alpha by 1 is alpha, then 1 by beta is going to be what? Is going to be beta, then plus 1. So basically, we can plug in directly from that point. Our alpha by beta is 5 over 2. Then the middle part, which is alpha by beta, is 2 plus a 1. So we have 5 over 2 plus 3, which is basically going to be 2 by 3 is 6 plus 5, 11. So we have 11 over 2. So that is for the first part. We found the value. So what is very important is just to be able to express what you've been given in the form of the sum of alpha plus beta and also their product. So question 1 is done. The second part says alpha squared plus beta squared. So we said the easiest way to look at this is realizing the fact that when you have alpha plus beta squared, which is in that form already, this is equivalent to alpha squared plus beta squared plus 2 alpha beta. Okay, so if you want to find the value of this can go the other side. So if it goes the other side, it will be minus. So you can therefore say that alpha squared plus beta squared is equivalent to alpha plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta. So we've just made this the subject of the equation. Okay, so it's now in that form already. We have it in the form of a summation as well as a product. So there we have alpha plus beta, which is a 2 squared. Then the product is 5 over 2. Okay. So where we have 5 over 2, so we have 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. So we found our value there for the second part of the question. Then the third part of the question, what is it saying? So for the third part of the question, we've been given alpha squared beta plus alpha beta squared. So remember, our goal is to make sure that we express it in the form of the product of alpha and beta as well as the summation. So in this case, we have some of the things that are common there. We have alpha and beta. We can factorize. So the first part, if you remove alpha and beta, you're going to remain with 1 alpha. Then the other part, you're going to remain with beta. So you can substitute. Alpha by beta is 5 over 2 for the first part. Then we are multiplying with what's in the brackets, which is the summation of alpha and beta, which is a 2. So basically we have a 5 as our value, a solution to that question. We are on number 4. Number 4 says alpha minus beta squared. So if you expand this, what are you going to have? What you're going to have is alpha by alpha is alpha squared. Then you have 2 alpha betas difference here, then plus beta squared. So we have alpha squared plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta. So this is almost in the form, except this is not in the form. So remember, from the first part we said alpha plus beta squared. From the second part of the question, we said it's equivalent to alpha plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta. So now we'll also indicate the 2 alpha beta that we have minus 2 alpha beta. So this will even now become alpha plus beta squared minus 4 alpha beta. So at that point we're able to substitute and determine the value. So alpha plus beta in brackets is 2 squared minus 4 multiplied by our alpha beta, which is 5 over 2. So basically what we have is we have a 4 minus, then 4 divided by 2 is a 2, which is going to give us 10 there. So our value is negative 6. Okay, so for the last part of the question, we have 1 over, let me write it on top, 1 over 2 alpha plus beta plus 1 over alpha plus 2 beta. So that's the last question that we have. So what we have is a summation of fractions. So the common denominator is going to be a product of denominators. So on the numerator, if you divide this into the that, we're going to remain with the other part, which is alpha plus 2 beta. Equal, when you look at that, you remain with the opposite side, plus 2 alpha plus beta. Okay. So from there, what do we have? We now have alpha plus beta. Then we have 2 alpha plus 2 what? 2 beta. On the denominator, if you expand, 2 alpha by alpha is going to be 2 alpha squared. Then 2 alpha by 2 beta is going to be 4 alpha beta. Then beta by that is going to be alpha beta. Then that is going to be 2 beta squared. Okay, so we've just expanded that. Let's try to see what we're going to have. So alpha plus beta, then we have 2 alpha plus beta. So we want to express it in the form of summation and product. So we can factorize it 2 there and remain with alpha plus beta divided by, so what do we have? So we have 2 alpha and 2 beta squared. We can write that to be, okay, let's start with this middle part. 4 alpha plus alpha beta is 5 alpha beta. Then 2 alpha squared can be we can factorize it 2 and remain with alpha squared and beta squared in the brackets. So we've seen that it's coming out already, because we know how to express all what we have in the form of summation and product. So the numerator has already been dealt with. So we have alpha plus beta plus 2 alpha plus beta divided by, so we have 5 alpha beta there. It's already in the form. Then where we have alpha squared plus beta squared, we said that is actually equivalent to what? So it's equivalent to alpha plus beta in brackets squared minus 2 alpha beta. Okay. So from that, at that point, we can now substitute in the values that we have. So our alpha plus beta, so I'll say our alpha plus beta is what? Is a 2. Then alpha plus beta is also what? Is also a 2. So basically, we're just supposed to even just say 3 alpha. Let me even just write it, because it's like what we have is we just like have like terms well. Okay. So it's more like we have alpha beta and 2 alpha beta. So basically what we have there is just like, we can just say 3 then alpha beta. So alpha beta is 2, because whenever you say 2 plus 2 times 2, it will still be 6. Okay. So you want to make your life easier and simple. So then 5 multiplied by alpha beta is 5 over 2 plus 2. Then in the brackets we have alpha plus beta squared. So that is a 2 squared minus. Then alpha beta is 5 over 2. Okay, so let's try to simplify that more. So what do we have now? So this is supposed to be division. So we have 6 over 5 by 5 over 2 is a 2 is 25 over 2. Then in the brackets we have 4. 4 minus, both are going to cancel out. So you have a 4 minus a 5, which is going to be a minus 1. So I can just indicate that. So 25 over 2 minus 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 25 minus 2 is 23. So we can now exchange that, cross and multiply, it will be 6 by 2, which is going to be a 12 over 23. And that is our value for the last part of the question. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching.